Hello, it's me. It's Salty. Welcome to my stream. The camera is a bit weird today. I think it needs adjusting. I'm afraid it might fall down if I adjust it too much. Oh no, it's crooked now. Oh no. Oh no. let's just leave it there. It is a bit zoomy. Is it zoomed in? Why is it zoomed in? Anyway, so I'm going to be reading, as is tradition, according to the prophecy, Cloud of Sparrows, chapter 9. Last week, I only did one stream because last Tuesday, I properly sleepy, I can't remember. And Wednesday was okay, did the stream. And then Thursday was Ari's Marbles Night. And then Friday was Ari's stream anniversary. And I didn't get... Normally for the Ari stream anniversary, I normally get dressed up. I put on a wig and like some kind of clothing and sit in Discord, chat with the camera on. But this, I didn't feel like it. No. Plus, I don't have a green wig. I only have a blue wig and a red wig. Everest, hello, how you doing? So yeah. But usually I put the blue wig on because that's Ari's anniversary. So. Yeah. And on Saturday, I went on it was the last shift of the original electric train in Brisbane. They're retiring the original electric train models. Missed the anniversary stream. Oh, Everest, that's okay. I mean, it sucks that you missed it, but the VOD should be there. And I think Ari will probably put it on YouTube. I missed half of it because I got sleepy and I had to go to bed. So I still haven't watched the second half of it. It's raining outside. Oh, that's nice. We're currently in our dry period of the year right now. So we got minimal rain. In a couple of days, there's supposed to be a little bit of rain, but it'll only be like just a short shower. Otherwise, it's quite dry and cold at the moment. So yeah. Where I live it's either dry and cold or hot and wet. Yeah, so I went on the electric train. It's called the EMU, Electric Multiple Unit. And that was the original electric train in Brisbane. And that model, there were like 100 or so of those trains. I can't remember exactly how many. But they retired the last one on Saturday. They were supposed to, apparently according to a friend of mine, they were supposed to refit some of them for the Olympic Games, which are coming up because they don't have enough trains. But the new state government, decided to just mothball them. So what are they going to do for trains? They've already completed some of them. Brand new bogies and everything. $19 million just... Anyway. Fiscal year? Oh, yeah, fiscal year. End of financial year. Although I have an accountant who helps me out. B, hello. Doing task? Okay, no worries, B. Thank you for popping in and saying hi. Love you, B. Closing all the books on June, but then on July all the clients come flocking in with the questions about the year-end adjustments. Ah. Are you doing accounting, Everest? Or are you doing something? So yeah, that was my Saturday evening. Was going on that train, which is kind of sad because it's the train of my childhood. And mind you, they have been retrofitted so much they're almost unrecognizable from my childhood. But yeah, like for example, when I was a kid, they had handles in the middle of the door, and you had to rotate the handle, and then the doors automatically open. You look at a bank, and you get moved from desk to desk. Ah, okay. That sucks. Hot desking sucks. Yeah, but now they've got buttons on like a little panel to the side, which makes it easier for people who are like disabled or have in wheelchairs or just can't reach the door handle or can't rotate the door handle. They can just bump the button, and the door will open when it comes into the station. Junior officers have no voice; it's got to do what they're told. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes in every workplace. Yeah, juniors get the short end of the stick. I don't know what that actually means, but it's not good. Okay, B, have good work. Stay warm. So yeah, and this morning I dropped Dad off and picked him up from his car because he had to get new control arms on his Isuzu for some reason. I don't know. Whatever. So he wanted a lift. The man is going to have to learn how to order a taxi because I'm not going to be there forever. And he was talking about wanting to go on a trip to like one of those river cruises in Germany. I'm just like, first up, how much money do you have, dude? And second of all, it's like, I don't really want to go on a river cruise with you because you really snore. Like, I don't want to go on a holiday with Dad. I want to get on a holiday away from Dad. If you're beaten with the short end of the stick, it hurts more than the longer end, since the longer end tends to be thicker. Ah. I don't think I've been beaten with a stick. Not a stick, but yeah. When I was a kid, they were sort of phasing that out of schools. Although there was one teacher I remember in primary school, when I was in primary school, and after they banned the cane in primary school when I was a kid. And there was one teacher called Mr. Mole who kept doing it, and he got the sack because you're not supposed to beat kids. Because when they grow up, they beat you back. Also, it's just cruel. How could you do that to somebody? Without consent. But you missed that one. Got beaten for not getting answers. Yeah, that's ridiculous. It's just teachers who don't know how to teach. So you don't know the answer? Beaten. Okay, cool. That helps. How? How does that help? It doesn't. The stick doesn't impart magical learning upon you. Yeah. Students still get beaten with sticks and other stuff. I'm grateful that the government banned it in the 90s, I think it was. 80s, 90s. I think 5 would have been late 80s. beating the answers into. Yeah, exactly. It was like, are the answers like written on the stick and then like, like it makes no sense. It's just like, yeah, corporal punishment's just awful. It's pointless. What's that phrase? That the beatings will continue until morale improves. So, banning guns, yeah, that's the only thing that I think John Howard did well, was banning guns. And also buying them back, doing the gun buyback. John Howard was an awful leader, but he did get rid of the guns. Okay. Oh, a bit burpy tonight. I had too much dinner. I had, what do you call it? Noodle box. Dad wanted to get takeout, so I'm like, okay, if you're paying. And as always, I ate too much. So, let me just have a quick refresh of the previous chapter. Yes, beating people and scaring them to obey is a solution to some people. Yeah, well, it makes people submissive and obedient, I guess, in a messed up way. But it's not going to help them learn. Some people learn despite the beatings, sure. Gonna go some afternoon snacks, make your coffee. Okay, no worries, Everest. Sounds like a good idea. So basically, last chapter they came up with a plan to get Lord Genji back to his home province, so that he could, get behind his army. Hi, Paul. How you doing? Welcome in. I was just about to do a recap. And also we had it was a bit of a graphic, not graphic, it wasn't graphic, but it was an awful memory of Stark's, him remembering his family being murdered, or him coming home to find his family murdered after he'd just been made Arizona Ranger. He came home, his family had been murdered. And that is assumedly why he's in Japan, is to take revenge on the guy who did the murdering. And Stark and Emily came to a sort of agreement where Stark would be Emily's fiancé after hers died, the Reverend died. And Stark was like, okay. Basically, it's an unspoken agreement where Stark was just kind of like, I'll be your fiancé, but you don't question why I've got these 2 guns and I'm going to go and why I'm probably not going to live very long. And Emily's like, they're both like giving each other like, yeah, okay, we understand each other kind of thing. Because Emily can't go back to America.
You are my most favorite creation.
Timoid. Oh, there's Everest. There's a picture of Everest. Timoid, thank you for gifting us up to Everest. And I'm very glad that all worked. Although, I don't know. Oh, it's because Everest resubbed. That's why. Because Everest got the sub, so the picture of Everest came up. That's why. I don't know how to change that. Or should I change it? Don't know. But anyway, yeah. So we had that graphic sort of horrible recollection of how Stark's family were killed, and then what else was there? There was something else. Oh, that's right. Kawakami, the Shogun's head of secret police and enemy of Lord Genji, basically had one of Lord Genji's messengers tortured. And it basically, I mean, it's not about the gifter, it's the giftee, so it looks good. Oh, thank you, Timo. Oh, that's good. I think I'll leave it then. Hi, did you do something with your hair? Yes. But you can't tell because I always wear a beanie. If you're talking about my eyebrows, I trim them back, but I think it's just all the blue is making the colours of my face and eyebrows look different. Yeah, so Lord Genji's man didn't give anything up, but I think the purpose of that scene was to show what lengths Kawakami was prepared to go to, and also to introduce Kawakami's assistant Mukai, who is sort of a bland, perfect sort of assistant for Kawakami, who does everything he wants, even torturing people. So yeah, yet another character. And also, the Reverend Abbot Sahaku is still committed to betraying Genji. I don't know what he expects to get out of it. Like that's one of the problems I have with Sahaku's motivation. Like, he disagrees with what Genji's doing with the outsiders, so he goes to contact Genji's enemy, an enemy of their clan. What does he think's going to happen? Like, betraying his entire clan to Kawakami. Like, Kawakami's just going to kill them all and annihilate the clan. What's Sahaku's plan here? It's like, I don't like Genji, so I'm going to let the clan be annihilated. I don't understand. I think it's a bit of an oversight by the author, maybe, or maybe Sahaku has a cunning plan. I have a cunning plan. Blackadder. My nose is itchy. Just ignore me. It's itchy. Okay, so chapter 9 is called Bitoku. 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 And as always, it starts with an excerpt from Suzume no Kumo. The Lord Chamberlain said, "There have been arguments of late about whether virtue is inborn or acquired. What is your lordship's view?" Lord Takanori said, "Pointless." The Chamberlain said, "If virtue is inborn, then training will avail us naught. If it is acquired, then an outcast can become the equal of a samurai." Lord Takanori said, "The virtuous shit, the unvirtuous shit." The Chamberlain bowed respectfully and withdrew. Lord Takanori returned his full attention to the scene before him and continued painting a view of trees obscuring Lady Shinku's bath. Suzume no Kumo, 1817. That's one I could never really understand. I mean, I get it that the Chamberlain's saying if virtue is inborn, obviously, then training doesn't matter. But if it can be acquired, then anyone can become a samurai. And I think Lord Takanori is just saying it's all shit. Who knows? Who knows? I think these excerpts are supposed to be nebulous. Anyway. The sound of stealth woke Heiko. The sound of stealth woke Heiko. Whoever was approaching was doing his best to minimize the sound of his footsteps. It was probably no one it shouldn't be, but the walls were down. A more sinister arrival was a distinct possibility. Genji's 2 swords were on a stand near his head. She was about to move into position to grab the shorter wakizashi when Genji reached for the katana. Until he did so, she didn't realize he had also awakened. Genji's got some skills. Lord! Hide's voice came from the other side of the door. Yes? Forgive me for disturbing you. A visitor insists on seeing you immediately. Who is it? He conceals his identity, but he gave me a token he said you would recognize. Show it to me. The door slid back and Hide entered on his knees. He bowed in the darkness, shuffled forward on his knees, and handed Genji a flat, circular metal object about the diameter of a large plum. It was an ancient sword guard depicting a flock of sparrows flitting over waves. I will receive him. After an appropriate interval, show him in. Hide hesitated. Would it not be prudent to require him to unmask first? Prudent, but unnecessary. Yes, Lord. Hide backed out. Still on his knees, drew the door close behind him. Yay! Heiko pulled her underkimono around herself and slipped out of the bed. I will withdraw. Where to? Heiko remembered. They were in the maids' quarters, the only remaining undamaged wing of the palace. She and Genji occupied the main room. All the others each had several occupants. There was no spare room to which she could go. I will wait outside. It's far too cold. Besides, I prefer your presence. My lord, I'm hardly in any condition to appear before anyone other than yourself. Her hair flowed unbound over her shoulders to her hips. She was practically naked. No makeup remained on her face. Genji had lately taken a fancy to seeing her without it. It would take at least an hour to become minimally presentable, and then only with Sachiko's help. These are extraordinary times. Normal rules do not apply. Prepare yourself as best you can. Heiko arranged her hair in a fair semblance of the ancient Heian style, a middle parting with the long tresses loosely bound with a single ribbon. Several layers of inner kimono, deftly arranged, mimicked the loose robes of those times. Powder and rouge were so lightly applied she appeared to wear none at all, yet they vivified the brightness of her eyes and the smile implied by the shape of her lips. You amazed me, Genji said when she re-entered, tea tray in hand. How so, my lord? You look as if you've just stepped from a painting of the era of the Shining Prince. He gestured at his own hastily tied kimono. In contrast, I appear to be exactly what I am, a man just roused from sleep. She was saved from making modest protestations by the guest's arrival. He was a large man, cloaked from head to foot. There was an awkwardness to his movements that seemed faintly familiar to her. She had seen him before. Where? Hide and Shimada stayed close to him, behind and on either side. The slightest suspicious move would cost him his life. The man's clear, gradual movements showed he understood this very well. Even his bow was slow and deliberate. Forgive my untimely intrusion, Lord Genji. A portion of his cloak masked his face, revealing only his eyes. Tiny as they were, they displayed obvious surprise when he saw Heiko. I am prepared to speak in your presence only. Genji gestured at Hide and Shimada. The look of concern on both men's faces deepened. Neither made a move to leave. You may wait outside, Genji said. Yes, Lord. Hide and Shimada bowed without taking their attention from the possible assassin. Their eyes remained on him as they backed out of the room. After the door closed, Genji could still visualize them as clearly as if he could see through wood and paper. Thank you for following, Friendo. They were poised on the other side, hands on their swords, ready to burst through the door within a heartbeat. The man looked at Heiko once again. We are still not alone, my lord, Genji said. If you cannot trust Lady Heiko, then I cannot trust you. He motioned to her. She bowed and moved forward with the tea. Now Mukai was faced with a genuine and unexpected dilemma. It's Mukai. What's he doing? In order to drink the tea, he would have to unmask. If he refused the tea and remained cloaked, the conversation would not take place. Since Genji already knew who he was, this was their second meeting, there could be only one purpose in requiring him to identify himself to Heiko. To test their reaction to each other. Did that mean he suspected her? Or him? Or both of them? Or was it just a game he was playing with the geisha he thought her to be? There was an even greater problem, of course. If he unmasked, Heiko was sure to report the visit to Kawakami. Then Mukai would follow Kojiro into the interrogation chamber and soon thereafter into the very same disposal pit. Kojiro was the messenger that Genji sent earlier, that Mukai tortured to death under Kawakami's direction. But it seems that Mukai is betraying Kawakami. We don't know why yet. Unless he denounced Heiko now as a spy and an assassin. No, that would not work. Genji would never believe it without proof, and Mukai had none to offer. He cursed himself for not considering the possibility of Heiko's presence. Because of the bombardment, he did not think she would be at the palace. Mentally exhausted by the myriad of uncomplimentary possibilities, he gave up trying to find a way out. He uncloaked and took the offered tea. Heiko displayed no surprise, no hint of recognition. This was because she had recognized Mukai a moment earlier by his tiny, closely set eyes and the bulbous lump of nose beneath the cloth that covered the rest of his face. She assumed he had been sent by Kawakami in some devious misdirection strategy. Mukai was an odd choice for such a move. A natural dullard through and through. Genji saw no reaction from Heiko, which meant nothing. He knew her self-control was remarkable. Mukai's flitting eyes answered one question at least. Heiko and Mukai were acquainted. That meant betrayal was a near certainty. Whose betrayal and by whom was not yet established. Mukai bowed low to Genji. I regret to inform you, your messenger, Gojiro, was captured by the shogun's agents on his way out of Edo. That is indeed unfortunate, Genji said. Did he respond to questioning? No, my lord, he did not. Genji said, I will honor his loyalty and courage by raising all three of his sons in rank. Is there any possibility of recovering his body? No, my lord, that is impossible. Apart from his sorrow at the death of a trusted old retainer, Genji wasn't especially concerned about Gojiro's failure to leave Edo. He had volunteered, knowing that capture, torture, and death were likely his fate. Saiki had sent another messenger at the same time, one that had probably already reached Akawaka. Thank you for your valuable report. There is more. Your other messenger was also captured. Are you sure? Genji chose his words with care. He didn't want to give Mukai information he didn't already have. It was possible his apparent betrayal of Kawakami was a ruse engineered by the Sticky Eye himself. Falconers are stationed at strategic intervals between Edo and Akawaka. Lord Kawakami is well aware of your late grandfather's enthusiasm for carrier pigeons and suspected you would employ them as well. Your army will not receive the order to mobilize. Then our situation is grave indeed. Now help could not come until Saiki reached Akawaka, if he reached it. Might not one of your commanders at home order mobilization on his own initiative? My commanders are Japanese, Genji said, not outsiders. Initiative is a deadly foreign impulse, don't you know? They will await their orders, as they have been instructed to do. You must leave Edo nevertheless, my lord. Even if Lord Kawakami does not order your assassination, anti-foreign elements are very likely to take action. The bombardment has inflamed emotions to dangerous heights. Mukai paused. He took a deep breath to fortify himself before speaking again. Though my family is a hereditary vassal of the Kawakami clan, our castle lies in relative isolation in the snow country on a high cliff above the Sea of Japan. In ancient times it never fell to siege, not even when Oda Nobunaga himself led an army against it. No one will expect you to strike out in that direction. It may be your best alternative. In the meantime, other messengers can be sent to Akaoka. Eventually one will get through. Until then, I believe I can ensure your safety. Your generosity astounds me, Genji said, truly astounded. Such an act would put you in open rebellion, not only against the Kawakamis, but the shogun as well. I am prepared for the consequences, my lord. I will consider your offer, Genji said, intending no such thing. I must advise you, however, the safest course of action for you would be to return to your former allegiance. Never, Mukai said, his voice full of uncharacteristic vigor. As my ancestors stood with yours at Sekigahara, so will I stand with you now. Even if the result is the same? It will not be, Mukai said. Every portent shows you have the god's favour. Mukai was an extremely serious person who would not understand laughter now, so Genji did not laugh, despite the strength of the impulse to do so. Everyone who believed in his prophetic ability saw omens everywhere, yet he himself saw only uncertainty. Genji returned the sword guard to Mukai. He would present it again should the need arise. So your family has secretly kept this for all these years? Yes, my lord. Mukai bowed low and respectfully took the oval of filigreed steel with both hands. Ever since the battle, to remind us where our true loyalties lie. Would they ever escape Sekigahara? Even if the Tokugawas were overthrown, wouldn't they and their supporters then wait their turn to fight yet another decisive battle? 100 years from now, after the outsiders have conquered Japan along with the rest of the world, if such was the future, will we at last have forgotten Sekigahara? After Mukai departed, Genji idly asked that very question of Heiko. I don't know, my lord. I do know that Sekigahara has nothing to do with that gentleman's adherence to you. Of course it does, Genji said. What other motive could he have? Love, Heiko said. Love? Genji was surprised. He had noticed no telling look or gesture pass between Heiko and Mukai. You mean he too is in love with you? No, my lord. Heiko couldn't keep herself from smiling. Not with me. ... Ah, that's right. Remember now. Mukai fancies Lord. Anyway. New scene. "25 samurai walked away from the old abandoned hunter's shack in the Kanto foothills." Yep. That's the main plain area of Japan, isn't it? In the foothills. None was equipped for hunting. One of the two men at the head of the group turned to the other. The meeting settled nothing. Was that unexpected? No, it was not, but I had hoped for better. The fact that the meeting took place at all could be considered a triumph. He turned and gestured at the men following along the trail back toward Edo. Isn't the Kanto to Edo quite a long way away? if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, that's a long walk. Look at us. 25 men wearing the crests of a dozen lords. In another time, not so long ago, it would have been unthinkable to see such mingling of those with different clan loyalties. We are transcending ancient limitations, my friend. We are the generation that will create a new ideal. By our sincere determination, we will bring forth the virtuous rebirth of the Japanese nation. The first man who had spoken regarded his companion with undisguised admiration. He felt his chest filling with the righteousness of their cause. Truly, they were men of virtue. Capitals. Men. Make Japan great again, huh? Others in the group engaged in more idle conversation. Did you hear about the kimono Eiko wore 2 weeks ago? I did more than hear about it. I saw it. No. Yes. Her garments were covered with embroidered images of grotesque and gaudy foreign roses. Worse yet, they were of the kind some fools call the American beauty rose, as if American and beauty can make sense together. Have we degenerated so far that even in the realm of roses we must admire alien blossoms? For these outsider-worshipping traitors, our own roses are beneath notice. All roses are foreign, yet another man said. The ones we have came from Korea and China in olden times. Once we have a science of our own, we can know which flowers are truly Japanese and admire only those. Science is an outsider abomination. Not necessarily. A gun can shoot in any direction. So too, science can be a tool in our hands as well as in theirs. Science can be used to strengthen Japan, so I have made it my mission to understand science. This cannot be unpatriotic. Indeed, it is most laudable that you are willing to make such a sacrifice, to risk pollution in order to strengthen our cause. I bow to you in gratitude. Surely the chrysanthemum is Japanese? Of course, that is beyond question. The chrysanthemum was a sacred symbol of the imperial family. To doubt its lineage was in itself an unvirtuous act. With science, we can prove it was the original Japanese flower. One of the leaders held up a cautioning hand. Quickly, into the woods. A few moments later, a horseman appeared in the near distance, ascending the same trail the 25 samurai were using to descend. Behind him were 5 more horsemen, or more accurately, 3 horsemen and 2 travelling companions of the gentler gender. ... Shigeru frowned. Is it wise to be so casual? Casually is the only way we will manage this escape from Edo, Genji said. If we show any concern at all, suspicions will arise. We have already successfully viewed winter cranes and entered the foothills unmolested. A casual strategy is sound. So they're making their escape.
You are my most favorite creation.
Bye, Jimmy. Thank you for subscribing. Look at Jimmy's face. Look at that. What a little face. Jimmy, thank you. You lovely bean. Is it just me, or is the text for that in the chat bigger? Have Twitch made the text bigger? It looks like it. Not that I'm minding. Doxed. Doxed. Get visually appreciated, nerd. Everyone looking respectfully. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, Shigeru, Genji, and 3 more companions are in a group. Oh. What was this? The kids doing that one? Yes. Right. Shigeru didn't see why that made it necessary to ride into the midst of 24 unidentified and concealed samurai, as they were now doing, without any preparation for battle. He knew better than to argue with Genji, however. His young nephew's apparent softness and malleability were exactly that. Apparent, not real. Genji was at least as stubborn and inflexible in his own way as the late Lord Kiori had been. Shigeru moved to the rear of the party. That was the most vulnerable position. He hoped an attack, if it occurred, would begin there. "Forgive me, my lord," Hide said, "but I must agree with Lord Shigeru. I saw 24 men, but there could be more behind them. Perhaps many more. They could easily be assassins sent specifically to intercept you. They could just as easily be an innocent group of friends on an afternoon stroll. Let us proceed, and please do not take any action without a direct order from me." "Yes, Lord." Hide, unable to keep the worried expression from his face, spurred his horse forward into the lead position. If they were indeed assassins, perhaps they would attack him first, giving his lord a better opportunity to escape. Emily looked questioningly at Lord Genji. He smiled and said, "There are some men on the trail ahead. There is no reason to expect any trouble." He gently urged his horse forward. That's right. Doing an accent for Emily. I apologize for the American accent. "I'm sure you're right, my lord." Emily said, moving forward alongside him. "For we travel in peace, without ill intentions, and will surely attract none." That was a good one. Why did I go with it? I should have just not gone with accents. But too late to stop now. "Is that a Christian belief?" Genji asked. "Such a balance of intentions." "As ye sow, so shall ye reap." "Yes, I think so." "Do you share that view?" Oh no, sorry, that was Heiko. Do you share that view? Heiko asked Stark. Experience has taught me otherwise, Stark said. He discreetly felt for the pocket pistol concealed under his jacket. When they reached a point where the trail widened slightly, samurai suddenly appeared on all sides of them. Though their swords were not drawn, they were clearly ready for immediate deployment. Outsiders are not permitted here. The one who spoke stood slightly in front of the others. This is yet a part of Japan unruined by their infectious presence. Clear the way, Hide said. A great lord honors you with his passage. We would be honored, said a second man, who now also stood apart from the rest, if the lord in question were truly great. I see, however, that the one of whom you speak is infamous for his grovelling at the feet of outsiders. I will not yield to such a one. Hide's hand went to the hilt of his sword. As fast as he was, Genji spoke before he could unsheath his blade. We need not stand on ceremony, Genji said. The day grows late. All of us have a wish to be elsewhere, do we not? Then let us proceed. There is no need for anyone to yield. Choose one side of the path, and we will use the other. Spoken like the weakling you are, said the first man. Uh-oh. Your grandfather was a warrior worthy of respect, but you are but the degenerate leavings of a dying line. Hide! His lord's warning voice was the only reason the man's head was still on his shoulders. Hide relaxed his grip on his sword and took a deep breath, attempting, though not quite succeeding, in calming himself. If that is the case, Genji said, then I am certainly beneath the notice of such virtuous men as yourselves. Let us leave it at that, and part company now. Perhaps we should do as he says, the first man said to the second. It would be cruel of us to deny him the pleasures to which he has become accustomed. Here we go. The insults. 18+ stream. Yes, that is so, said the second man. He turned an arrogant sneer on Genji. Why did I choose this book, anyway? We have heard that you squeal with delight nightly as barbarian ogres stretch your bleeding asshole with their stinking animal penises. And that you gurgle like a contented baby during the day as you suck the foul emissions from those very same diseased organs. Why did I pick this book? You are sadly misinformed, Genji said. Yeah. The only outsider with whom I have shared intimacies is this one beside me. Several of the samurai laughed derisively. She is a treasury of delights you cannot begin to imagine, Genji said. The first man said, You are a fool, or mad, or both, or perhaps blind. Look at her. Your mount is more like a human woman than she. Granted they are about the same size, with noses of the same length. The coloration of your horse, however, is vastly more beautiful than the ghostly shades of your companion. And her odour, rank beyond description. Genji smiled benignly. You are obviously not close enough to inhale her true scent. When excited, she emits a perfume from her private regions akin to opium fume, and then a kind of sexual ecstasy overcomes her. Consider the fine bones of her hands, how nearly transparent her skin. Excited, she generates a force akin to lightning, and when she touches you, small shocks travel from her body to yours. That is why her colour is so strange. The very matter of her being has been transformed. While Genji distracted their adversaries, Hide and Shigeru subtly shifted their positions. If a charge became necessary, they would be able to attack with maximum effect. With swords and hooves, they would take out half the opposing group in the first moments of combat. Those who were left would be entirely manageable. Hide recalled an often repeated axiom of their clan. One Okamichi cavalryman was the equal of any 10-foot samurai on foot. That being the case, and he did not doubt that it was, the advantage was actually with them and not with these so-called men of virtue. Hide and Shigeru exchanged a quick glance, acknowledging their readiness. Notice her breasts, Genji continued, so unnaturally full, so protuberant. Under the pretext of talking about Emily, he moved forward 2 paces, putting more of himself and his horse between her and the belligerent samurai. He thought he would be able to cut down the closest men quickly before they could do harm. Her breasts ripen monthly. Indeed, they are ripe as we speak. They are filled not with milk, but with a fiery ambrosial dew. To touch most of her is to touch ice, because all her body heat is in but 3 places: her breasts, her mouth, her vagina. Emily wondered what Genji was saying to his new acquaintances. Whatever it was, it must be fascinating, for many of them stood open-mouthed, and not a few of them stared in her direction. She smiled at them in response, trusting her friendliness was in harmony with Genji's. Stark didn't know what Genji was saying either, but he knew what he was doing. All 3 Okamichi samurai had maneuvered themselves into better fighting positions. A battle was imminent. Stark counted 25 swordsmen on the other side. None of them had firearms, at least not in the open. 25 against Genji, Hide, and Shigeru. Not good odds, even though they were mounted and their opponents were not. Stark had only the small 32 caliber pocket pistol ready to deploy. 6 bullets and no reloads handy. If he had had his Bowie, he could account for another 1 or maybe 2, but he didn't. At best, they could take out half. The other half would kill them for sure. Or worse. He looked toward where Emily was, next to Genji. Heiko was beside him. He would kill Emily with his first shot and Heiko with his second, to save them the agonies these men surely had in store for them before they died. Then he'd shoot the closest 4 and trample as many more of the others as he could before he went down himself. He was ready. His shoulders relaxed. He had no more thoughts. Momentarily stunned into silence by Genji's wild discourse, the first man now recovered his voice and spat out his words. "Keep your polluted fantasies to yourself. It is trouble enough for us to deal with that stench." The second man said, "We cannot say with certainty whether that foul odour comes from those unwashed horses your bestial bedmate, or your own decaying and degenerate self. Enough! Shigeru could take no more. He spurred his horse forward as the men of virtue drew their swords. Apologize to your ancestors now, for when we are done with you, we will cast down their altars, disinter their remains, and discard them in the awful pits of the outcasts. The leading ring of samurai moved forward to meet him, then fell back as they recognized him. Shigeru! Impossible, he's dead. After momentarily freezing in place, the samurai turned and fled in every direction. All except the two who had been doing the talking. They both fell to their knees and pressed their heads against the ground. Please accept my apologies, the first man said, and spare my aged parents. The second man said, My children are still innocent infants. Let my blood wash them clean. The two men moved at the same time. The first one gripped the blade of his katana with both hands, and with blood pouring from his mutilated palms and fingers, thrust it deep into his throat. He pitched sideways, his life gurgling away through the wound, his mouth, his nostrils. The second man placed his blade in his mouth and slammed his head forward. The hilt hit the ground, driving half the length of the weapon through the back of his skull. Somehow the sword balanced him. Held up by a gruesome tripod of sword and knees, he died spasm by spasm. Emily fainted dead away. She would have fallen had not Genji caught her in his arms. He half expected her heft to knock him from his steed. Surprisingly, she wasn't as heavy as she appeared to be, nor as large close up this way. Her exaggerated bodily shape and her bizarre features had distorted his awareness of her actual proportions. Shigeru began to dismount. Not necessary, Genji said. I should identify them, Shigeru said. His face burned. Only blood would cool his rage. Let it pass, Genji said. These are trying times for us all. They were misguided, but their sincerity was unquestionable. Let us honor their sincerity and forget the rest. Shigeru bowed, but when Genji moved on, he dismounted anyway. He examined the crests on their kimonos and memorized their faces. Genji was too compassionate. Certain words could never be recalled. They were beyond forgiveness. One man had mentioned parents, the other children. Later, when the present crisis was past, he would find them and do what needed to be done. Shigeru remounted and urged his horse forward. ... New scene. That was a hell of a scene. So, quick recap. They encountered some basically Japanese maga. Make Japan great again. And Genji distracted them by explicitly describing some, stuff about Emily, and they all moved in a position, and they didn't even have to fight, because as soon as they saw Shigeru, they knew they were dead, because Shigeru has that reputation. So basically, they all ran away except for the two in front, who basically begged for forgiveness with their lives. And then Shigeru, appropriate to his reputation, memorized their faces and what they'd said so he could pay a visit to their families later. Holy hell. Shigeru's like, this old guy is like always operating at, at level 10 at all times. And poor Emily, she's just sitting there. Like, they're all talking, and then all of a sudden they run away and two of them kill themselves. Like, no, he does not fuck around, this guy. And I'm guessing Stark was just as perplexed. Well, we'll probably see now, actually, because it's new scene. Oh, here we go. I don't understand, Emily said. Everyone was just talking. Lord Kenji even seemed jovial. Then, suddenly... Her body trembled uncontrollably. She tightened her grip on Stark, hoping he would hold her more tightly too. He did. It didn't help. She still trembled. She had never imagined she would see anything so terrible, such senseless violence, all the worse for being self-inflicted. One moment, those two men were talking. The next, they had consigned their immortal souls to everlasting damnation by taking their own lives. And for what? The sight of their awful wounds, the sound of the blood in their throats. Would she ever be able to forget these things? She didn't think she would, and trembled more. Their way of thinking is very different from ours, Stark said, which explained nothing. The hostile samurai had a seemingly insurmountable advantage in numbers. Yet, a few words spoken by Shigeru, and they melted fearfully away. Why? He didn't know. Two of them had killed themselves in particularly painful ways. If they were so willing to die in agony, they certainly didn't lack courage. Why hadn't they attacked instead? He didn't know. The warlord and his uncle sat conferring a short distance away. Heiko, showing not the least sign of distress, busied herself with Hide, building shelters from the bamboo he cut down. As delicate as she appeared to be, the recent violence had apparently not affected her at all. Stark didn't understand what had happened any more than Emily. I wonder if we are as much a mystery to them. That cannot be, Emily said. Our actions follow reason, as God intended. ... Sharky, hello. How are you, lovely? I'm out of tea. I'll just have water. Take a sip.
You are my most favorite creation.
Sharky. Oh, wait, that's orange. Poor. Thank you for gifting to Sharky. I'm good, thank you. I'm just
Glory
gonna
to you and your house.
Glory to you, Sharky, and your house. Yeah, Sharky is an ASMR streamer who streams. How can I describe Sharky's stream? Shark videos and an avatar in front of the shark videos and lovely ASMR sounds. That's an amazing shout out. Thank you. I spent a while working on that one. Yeah, because I was like, everyone says like, like I wanted something a little bit more unique. So I was just like, what's something I can say? I don't know, I'm a Star Trek fan, so glory to you. Anyway, so yeah. Back to Shigeru and Genji's point of view. Thank you. I don't know if you listened to the previous scene, but if you missed it, it might be good to go back in the VOD and check that out. It was interesting. Sit tight and listen. Okay, no worries. It would be wise to continue to travel through the night, Shigeru said. It is doubtful those who fled will return. Other pursuers, however, may be close behind us. It would be wise, Genji said, but it is also impossible. Emily cannot travel. The shock has been too much for her. Shock? Shigeru glanced in the outsider woman's direction. Why is she shocked? She should be relieved. Thus far, combat has been unnecessary. She is not accustomed to seeing men immolate themselves, Genji said. At least not with swords. Death by gunshot may not be quite so disturbing to her sensibilities. Shigeru had no patience for such a discussion. He broached another, more important subject. Several of our recent adversaries wore the crest of the great lord of Yoshino. This means he will soon know of our location and probable direction. Shortly thereafter, the shogun will know as well, since Yoshino is an ally of the Tokugawas. Not necessarily, Genji said. I doubt their meeting was sanctioned by any of their lords. They were acting on their own. Therefore, they were technically, and perhaps in fact, committing treason. They will not reveal our location if it means they must also confess to a crime that will ruin themselves and their families. We are safe. Shigeru said. Nevertheless, as a precaution, we should loop farther north and turn west just south of Mushindo Monastery. It will add 2 days to the journey, but it will also put us on a path less prone to interception. Hide and Heiko rejoined them. Hide said, The shelters are ready, my lord. Thank you. I will stand the first watch, Shigeru the second, and you the third. Hide said, There is no need for you to do such menial duty, my lord. There are only 3 of us. If I do not bear my share, in short order you and Shigeru will be too tired to be of any use. I will stand the first watch. Yes, my lord. Heiko smiled at Genji. Something amuses you? An idle thought, nothing more. And what is the idle thought? We are proceeding farther north. Yes, for 2 more days. Why? Is not the renowned impregnable fortress of the Mukai family to the north? Genji reached for her, but he was not fast enough. With a giggle, she slipped away. Come back. Patience, my lord. Heiko stopped a short distance away from the outsiders and bowed. Emily, Matthew. She gestured at one of the lean-tos she and Hide had erected. We are to stop here for the night. Please try to get some rest. After tonight, we may not have such leisure until we reach Lord Genji's castle. Thank you, Heiko, Emily said. Emily was put to bed under several layers of blankets. Stark and Heiko sat with her until, at last, she fell asleep. When Heiko rose, Stark stopped her. Who were those men? Heiko searched her memory for the right word. Outlaws. Why did they run away instead of attacking? They recognized Lord Shigeru. There were 24 of them against 4 men on our side. Yes, Heiko said. They were too few and knew it, so they ran. Stark was sure Heiko didn't understand his questions. The answers she gave made no sense. Nowhere in the world do 24 men run from 4. Why did those 2 kill themselves? They were apologizing for their harsh words. Apologizing? Stabbing themselves with their own swords? Yes. What do they say that required such an action? Disrespectful things, Heiko said, which would be disrespectful for me to repeat. She bowed. Good night, Matthew. Good night, Heiko. Stark didn't fall asleep until near dawn. He heard Heiko giggling. Later, the warlord's uncle woke and disappeared into the woods. Several hours later, he returned and Hide assumed the watch. Stark wanted to offer his services, but he didn't. He didn't want to insult someone inadvertently and have to apologize with his life. He had to live until Ethan Cruz was dead. ... Just flicking ahead to see how long we've got. Not too long. Yeah, good. My voice is getting a bit scratchy. Okay, so now we go back to Shigeru. No, not Shigeru. Genji and Heiko. You don't really believe what you said about Mukai. I do. The way he looked at you, the way he said, my lord, and so often, my lord, at every opportunity, as if, by saying it, he possessed you. Mukai's ancestors fought beside mine at Sekigahara. That is the only reason for his allegiance. If you believe that, you are as gullible as a pubescent farm girl. A sparrow sword guard has been in his family for generations. According to him, he could have purchased it at any pawn shop. Sekigahara is his excuse, not his reason. Love always finds a way. Ridiculous. And not amusing. Stop laughing. You're right. I shouldn't laugh. I should be angry. What reason do you have for being angry? Because you are considered more beautiful than I. By some, at least. Mukai is not in love with me.
One day, when you are living a pampered existence in his castle high above the swirling northern sea, you will know otherwise.
The world has not deteriorated to that extent, nor will it in my lifetime.
Is that prophecy, my lord?
Oh my goodness, Mukai offered Genji a house. That's pretty funny. So just a quick recap on Mukai. Mukai is the retainer, or right-hand man, of Genji's enemy. And Heiko believes that he's betraying his lord because he's in love with Genji. And Genji's like, he doesn't love me, like, it's ridiculous. She's like, yeah, he does. Anyway, ... New scene. That night and the following morning, a heavy snowfall blanketed the Kanto plain. From his office in Edo Castle, Mukai watched the world turn white. Genji was somewhere out there, a hunted fugitive. His heart ached when he thought of how the young lord must be suffering in the harsh weather. He had tried to get the assignment to intercept Genji, but Kawakami had taken it upon himself. So he was stuck here in Edo, helpless to give aid to the one he loved more than life itself. Could any fate be crueler? He looked at the sword guard in his hand. Sparrows flitting above the waves. It was when he had seen it in, I think that's Siamis? I'm going to say Siamis. It was when he had seen it in Siami's shop that he had realized the truth of his feelings for Genji. Until then he had not understood the source of the lingering malaise that had plagued him since the previous spring. He had attributed it to the unease everyone felt at the increasing presence of outsiders in Japan. In fact, spring was when he had first seen Genji. There is the next great lord of Akawaka, Kawakami had said, pointing him out at a gathering before the shogun. When the old man dies, the line is finished. Mukai saw a youth whose incredible beauty left him speechless. He knew he should express agreement with Kawakami, but his mouth would not form the words. That would have been that. Nothing further would have occurred, but that very evening, listening to a discussion about the poisonous values of the outsiders, his life began to come into focus for the very first time. Happiness is the main goal of outsiders, Kawakami said. That is hard to believe, Lord Noda said. No society based on such a shallow, self-centered concept can survive beyond a few generations, at best. I don't know how long they will survive, Kawakami said. Nevertheless, it is a fact. They are strange, Lord Kubota said, but they cannot be that strange. It is written into their supreme law, Kawakami said. Happiness is declared to be a right guaranteed to everyone. To individuals, Mukai said. Kawakami shot him an irritated look. His function was to attend, listen, and appreciate, not speak. Mukai bowed apologetically. Mollified and feeling magnanimous that night, Kawakami answered him. Yes, to individuals. How perverse, Lord Noda said. Mukai silently agreed. Perverse without question. The goal of society was order, and the only way to order was the correct establishment of place. Civilization required it. Everyone must know his place, accept it, and behave accordingly. Anything else would result in chaos. Happiness. What an idea. Mukai felt an excitement he thought at the time was righteous indignation, which was the appropriate response. Then he saw the sword guard, and something broke open inside him. Before he knew it, he was weeping. My lord, Siami the shopkeeper said, are you unwell? The sparrows in mid-air, though they were but inanimate representations in filigreed steel, were they not freer than he would ever be? Genji's beauty, his own ugliness, the emptiness of place. Happiness, a pure, individual, personal, selfish happiness. To think of oneself and to forget all else. Even better, to disappear into the bliss of unbridled love. If he could be with Genji, he would vanish, and only Genji would remain. Beautiful, so very beautiful. And so he wept as Siami stood by, helplessly wringing his hands. Mukai purchased the sword guard for the first figure Siami named without haggling. He would gladly have paid twice as much. With it, he invented a fictitious ancestor who had fought with the Okamichis at Sekigahara. It gave him a reason to meet privately with Genji. Now, as snow continued to fall, and his large, blunt-fingered hand tightly clutched the sword guard, Mukai made the most fateful decision of his life. Within the hour, he left Edo Castle, bound for his home on the sea of Japan. He was a minor lord, with a mere 200 armed vassals. No matter. He would summon them all and rally to the Sparrow and Arrow's banner of the Okamichi clan. If the young lord was to die, then he too would die. The thought of perishing in the same place and at the same moment as Genji brought an exquisite vision of nearly unendurable beauty to his imagination. It was too much to hope for. Yet it wasn't impossible. They could die in each other's arms, the blood of love beautifying them both in the eternal moment of death. A joyous warmth flooded Mukai's bosom. Winter itself was banished. Unashamed, he admitted the truth he felt to the core of his being. The outsiders were right. Nothing was more important than happiness. ... New scene. Sahaku and Kudo guided their horses through deep snow. Sahaku and Kudo are two of Genji's generals who are planning to betray him. There they are, Kudo said. 2,000 samurai were bivouacked in the clearing ahead. Bivouacked. Try using bivouacked in a sentence sometime. At their center was a command tent. A quarter of the men were armed with muskets, as well as the usual complement of swords and lances. No sentries are posted, Kudo said. That is careless. The country is at peace, Sahaku said, and besides, who will attack the shogun's army so close to Edo? Kawakami, dressed ostentatiously in full battle armor, greeted them effusively as they entered his tent. Lord Kudo, Reverend Abbot Sahaku, welcome. Sahaku said, Thank you for seeing us in such extraordinary circumstances, Lord Kawakami. Nonsense. Some sake to cut the chill. Thank you. I trust you were able to depart from Edo without excessive difficulty. Yes, thanks to you. Sahaku emptied his cup, which an attendant immediately refilled. Regrettably, we were forced to kill the men who were keeping watch on the palace. Otherwise, our departure would have been too easy, and suspicions would have been aroused. We are not yet certain of the loyalty of all our men. Understood, Kawakami said. I expected nothing else. I therefore assigned my own least reliable men to the watch. Therefore, it could be said that we have already exchanged mutual favors. He bowed, and Sahaku and Kudo did the same. So far, the depths of their bows were precisely equal. What is your strength? This was the second test. The first, which they had passed, was entering Kawakami's camp alone, without a contingent of bodyguards. Now they were being asked to reveal their numbers and armament. 112 samurai, Sahaku said without hesitation, all mounted, all armed with muskets of the Napoleonic type, and carrying 20 rounds of ammunition apiece. Are they your own hereditary vassals? Mine or Kudo's, most of them. About a dozen are direct retainers of the Okamichi family. Kawakami frowned. Would it not be most sensible to eliminate those without delay? The situation is sensitive, Sahaku said. Our men are samurai of the most conservative and traditional type. Anything smacking of the cowardly or underhanded will undermine my own position. Murdering a dozen men loyal to their liege lord would not be helpful in that regard. Having them in your midst is excessively dangerous, Kawakami said. I agree. At midday today, I will announce my allegiance to the shogun, giving as my reason the need for national unity in the face of a likely barbarian invasion. We must set aside old grievances and unite, as our ancestors did when the Mongols invaded Japan 6 centuries ago. I will say that Kudo and I have concluded, regrettably, that Lord Genji is not prophetic, but insane, as is his uncle, Lord Shigeru, whose heinous crimes are well known among our men. To follow him blindly is not loyalty, but cowardice. True loyalty is adherence to the ancient ideals embodied by our late lord, Kiori. We must uphold the honor of the Okamichi house by establishing a regency. Lord Genji will be taken into protective custody, and we will henceforth act in his name. You are quite an orator, Reverend Abbot. Had you remained in a monastic setting, you would undoubtedly have led many listeners to Bitoku. You are too kind, Lord Kawakami. As a true samurai, you could expound just as well on the nature of essential moral virtue. What of those whose doubts are not dispelled by the clarity of your words? Their loyalty to Lord Genji, misplaced though it is, will be honored. They will be permitted to depart directly for Akaoka. Sahaku accepted another serving of sake. Do you think any of them will successfully evade your forces? I sincerely doubt it. So do I. Kawakami said, There is still Lord Shigeru to consider. He is the murderer of Lord Kiori. We will deliver him to his proper fate. Kawakami nodded. Excellent. However, I am troubled by one aspect of your plan. Please share your concern. Lord Genji, alive, will continue to be a serious danger, even in custody. His reputation for prophecy, specious, I'm not sure how to pronounce that word. Specious. Specious though it is, has a powerful hold on the popular imagination. Sahaku smiled. Unfortunately, though we will try to preserve his life, Lord Genji will be killed in the confusion. We will bear his honoured ashes back to Cloud of Sparrows for interment. Shortly after, Kawakami said, the Shogun will announce the raising of your house to the lordship of Akaoka. Lord Kudo, as your most valued retainer, will have his lands and stipend adjusted appropriately. Thank you, Lord Kawakami. This time, when they exchanged bows, Sahaku and Kudo inclined their torsos more deeply than their host. Kawakami said, My forces will move down the coastal road at top speed. Lord Genji will likely try to slip through to the inland sea somewhere west of Kobe. I will be waiting for him. Only if he evades the main body of our cavalry, Sahaku said. I will intercept him in the mountains at Yamanaka village. Before he left for his crane viewing, he said he would try to join us there. Kudo said, I will trail Lord Genji with 20 of our best marksmen. We will do our best to eliminate Lord Shigeru with sniper fire before he leaves the mountains. Kawakami raised his cup. May the gods favor those who truly possess virtue. ... New scene. Seasick though they were, Taro and Shimada pulled resolutely at their oars. If they were not plummeting down the sheer faces of oceanic cliffs, they were looking up at massive watery avalanches. So Taro and Shimada are taking the oceanic route. Or so it seemed to them. If their tiny boat was inundated, as appeared likely at any moment, they were surely doomed. Land was nowhere in sight. Not that they could see it, even if it were. They were already nearly blind from the ceaseless ocean spray. Taro leaned close to Shimada. Which way is Akaoka? What? Shimada strained to hear him over the perpetual thunder of collapsing waves.
Are we going in the right direction? I don't know. You think he does? Psyche, at the helm, was the picture of confidence. I hope so. The gods of weather, oceans, and storms favor us, Psyche said. A wave crashed over the boat, soaking them all despite the oilcloths they wore over their clothing. Psyche bailed with one hand and controlled the rudder with the other. From time to time, he adjusted the angle of the sail. Taro, wet, cold, nauseated, couldn't stop shivering. And the gods have a strange way of bestowing their blessings. We seem to be in grave danger. The opposite is true, Psyche said. We are invisible in such heavy seas. The Shogun's patrols will never find us. Psyche had grown up on the water. In the carefree days of his youth, when he was a low-ranking samurai without special responsibilities, he spent many happy hours in the wild waters off Cape Muroto, hunting whale with the fishermen who had been his childhood playmates. As the giant animals passed the cape, the fishermen would row their longboats alongside one, leap on its back, and drive a spear straight into its brain. If their aim was true, the whale was theirs. If not, they were the whales. The spearmen would fall into the ocean to drown while the boat, bound to the wounded whale by spear and line, was towed to sea. Usually, fishermen were able to cut the line and return home. Sometimes they were never seen again. Row harder, Psyche said. Maintain this angle to the waves. With luck and a continuing east wind of bearable velocity, they would reach Akawaka in 3 days. 500 men would be ready to ride immediately. In 2 weeks, the entire army would be poised for war. Psyche hoped Lord Genji survived that long. Another huge wave smashed into the boat. Psyche turned his full attention to the sea. End of chapter 9. Yay. The next chapter, which I will hopefully read tomorrow, is called Aido. I know that word. That's the word for Japanese dueling, I think, with like those wooden swords, I think. But anyway, that's going to be the end of my stream. I hope everyone's enjoyed the book so far. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully, assuming I'm not too EP. Thank you for being here, Everest. I will just have a quick check. Yeah, I'll just have a quick check of who's on first. Oh, we got Ari. Ari is on. Oh, pardon me, I just burped. Straight to the mic. We're probably just going to raid Ari. I could raid Ivy. No, we'll raid Ari, because I'm going to raid Ari. I'm going to watch Ari anyway. Alright. Yeah. Before I go, I'll give out another shout. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to shout anyone. Let's just go. Let's not waste time, shall we? Everest. Thank you for being here. I'm going to raid my lovely friend Ari. If you want YouTube VODs of my... Thank you, Sharky. If you want YouTube VODs, you can join the Discord, and they're in my VOD channel in the Discord.
I may make them public at some point, but I don't know. Completely off today? That's no worries, Sharky. Don't worry about it. This is relaxing lurker stream. You don't have to engage at all if you don't want to. But I appreciate you saying hi. That's right, the Discord link is already in the chat there, Everest, just up a bit. In the socials that popped up in the raid command. Anyway, so yeah. Probably see you tomorrow for more reading. No worries, Everest. Hopefully it works. If not, I'll make a new one. Anyway, so yeah. Bye everyone. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye everyone. Bye.